Hi and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around I have the February 2024 bundle from Imprint Films, which I'm going to show you right now. There they are. I'm going to go through each of the discs. They're in a collective bunch this time. It's all dramas. There's no science fiction, there's no swashbuckling, there's no fantasy films. It's all serious dramas. And I like that. They're going to make me step outside of my comfort zone when I watch them. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to palate cleanse after you've been watching science fiction movies and fantasy films and comedies and other things. Getting a bit of serious drama into you is a kind of reset, a recalibration of your sensibilities as a movie viewer. So we're going to start with number 289 from 1976, an Ingmar Bergman movie starring Liv Ullmann, and it's called Face to Face. There's the outside cover with Rorschach and her face twice. This one's hardcore drama. It's a serious film. It also has to do with attempts at self-ending. It's about a psychiatrist called Jenny, played by Liv Ullmann, who's going through a life crisis. Her husband's gone over to America for business. Her child is in camp for a few weeks, and she is continuing to work, but she is suffering from a mental breakdown. She's moved back in with her grandparents and into the room where she lived when she went through a whole bunch of traumatic events during her childhood, and it is really wrecking her nerves. She's feeling anxiety and tension and all of those things, and everything's coming up from her childhood. And she also has a patient called Mari, who is a very disturbed woman in the psychiatric hospital where Jenny works. And she is dealing with that patient's issues as well as her own. Meanwhile, one of her colleagues and her are kind of flirting and getting towards building an affair, which turns into something different. And Mari escapes from the mental institution. Jenny finds her. There's some real hard trauma to do with that as well. And she's dealing with an immense amount of stuff in a very confronting way. This is not Ingmar Bergman in the style of Smiles of a Summer Night, which is the other Bergman movie I've seen. And it is not for everybody, but it's incredibly well done. And the plot twists and turns are naturalistic and realistic, and they work really well. There's a back cover. We've got a lot of good stuff on there. It's high definition presentation of a 2019 restoration by Studio Canal. Audio commentary with Michael Brook from 2024. And The Silence, Face to Face and Feminine Rage, a video essay by Kat Ellinger, which is worth the price of admission. I love Kat Ellinger's stuff. She always gives me a lot to think about when I watch her video essays. There's the inside cover, which kind of shows you a very nice montage describing the mental state of Jenny. There's a back cover with a lot of the same stuff. And inside, you've got that. Now, this isn't going to be a film for everybody. It does have a lot of confronting stuff in it. And if you're feeling a bit fragile and sensitive, you might not want to watch it right now. But again, it's one of those movies that cleanses my palate, basically, for cinema, and shows me cinema that I wouldn't ordinarily watch. And all credit to Imprint for bringing out some Bergman on Blu-ray in Australia, which doesn't get done a lot. The last Bergman I've seen on disc in Australia was about 20 years ago, when a lot of the classic Bergman movies like Wild Strawberries were brought out on DVD and ended up for $5 on the bargain table at JB Hi-Fi. That one's definitely a good catch. Like I said, there's the back cover again. Very confronting, very full-on, but a very worthwhile film. Next cab off the rank is a 1983 film based on a play by Ronald Harwood. And this is the kind of movie and the kind of play where older actors get to really let loose and show their chops. And that happens in The Dresser with Albert Finney and Tom Courtenay. It's set in World War II, and Tom Courtenay plays the dresser, the guy who helps an actor who's performing the stage play get ready for his performance. He helps with the makeup, he helps with the costumes, he helps with all the other stuff there. And he has been the dresser for an actor played by Albert Finney for a very long time. Now, it takes place during World War II, and the actor is touring Shakespeare around different cities in England. What the public doesn't know about the actor is he's suffering from mental decline. And the dresser, played by Tom Courtenay, they've got a long-term association with each other. And the guts of the film comes in when we see a very long sequence of the dresser preparing the actor for his roles. He does Othello, and at the climax of the film, he does King Lear under some very unusual circumstances. And it's a very full-on movie. The acting is so on point and so perfect and so great. And the twists and turns of the plot all take place within almost a capsule of this small regional theatre during World War II. There are some scenes when they're travelling between cities, and there's a really nice moment for Albert Finney there at a train station. The Dresser is a full-on good drama. Ronald Harwood, the writer, was the dresser for an actor in the 1950s, a guy called Sir Donald Wolford, who turned up in one horror movie, Kiss of the Vampire, back in the late 1950s. So he knows what he's talking about. There's the inside cover. Again, he's getting his boss prepared for the role. And there's the back. And there is the inside part with Tom Courtenay really emoting strongly there. I like this one. I like good, meaty dramas where actors get to go over the top and take things up to 11. And this one definitely does that. Now, there are no extras on this one, but it doesn't matter. The movie stands alone. It doesn't need elucidation. It just is what it is, and it is a very, very fine piece of drama. I'm going to rewatch that one soon. It was directed by Peter Yates, by the way. Same guy who did Bullet. I like it when actors are given a chance to just totally shine and show their chops without any kind of filtering. And this is the kind of movie that delivers that. Really great fun. And if you like Shakespeare, there's a great sequence of Albert Finney doing Lear, which I really appreciate. And I'm a Shakespeare buff, even though I don't know much about it. And it takes me about 5 minutes every time I watch a Shakespeare movie to get an ear for the dialogue. But once I do, I'm totally in the zone and I'm totally focused. Shakespearean movies are not the kind of movies I can watch while I'm scrolling through my phone or pause to do something else. It really grabs my attention. And finding that ear for the dialogue is a trick you can learn. And I really recommend that you do so if you're watching anything Shakespearean. It really will deliver a lot of rewards for people who learn that trick. But The Dresser, high recommend from me. The story is about their friendship, the tears, the heartbreaks, the joys, the fears, the devotion, the dreams. Nice deep cut from Imprint again. Now the third one's a Bob Rafelson movie. Bob Rafelson, who produced The Monkees, who directed the Monkey movie Head, went in a total different direction in 1990. He adapted a book about Richard Francis Burton and Lieutenant John Speke trying to find the source of the Nile River. And he made an interesting movie about it called Mountains of the Moon. Two strangers made friends in a savage land, two friends made enemies by the civilized world. So it's Patrick Bergin and Ian Glenn, and it is, a lot of it's shot on location. Really interesting film. One of those kind of colonial exploration adventures, which is reinterpreted in the modern age to be somewhat different. There's a lot of extras on this one, and you can freeze frame that if you like, but I will read them out. It's a 1080p high def. Audio commentary by film historian Peter Tonguette from 2024. Be Careful with Obsessions, Bob Rafelson, Henry Jaglom, and Two Paths to Capturing Reality. An interview with film director Henry Jaglom from 2023, which is going to be fascinating to watch. I haven't watched it yet. A Mountain of Soul. Peter Rafelson remembers his legendary father. A 2023 interview with Peter Rafelson, who himself is a movie producer. An Irishman in Africa. Patrick Bergin becomes explorer Richard Burton. An interview with the actor Patrick Bergin in 2023. And The Revolutions Follow Him. Author-journalist Josh Carper remembers Bob Rafelson from 2023. And there's an archival featurette on the making of Mountains of the Moon. A lot of good stuff in there. And Rafelson's a director I really like. He did so many different things in so many different genres. And the movie's really weird too. It's got things like Delroy Lindo playing an African tribesman, which is kind of interesting. I love Delroy Lindo. And seeing him in an earlier role like that really struck me like a wow kind of thing when I saw it. There's the alternative artwork on the inside cover. The back's the usual thing, which is an iteration of the back slipcover. There's the inside with more of the artwork. Richard Francis Burton, the guy that Patrick Bergin is playing in this, was also the guy who translated the Arabian Nights for English audiences, started all that Arabian Nights love that English culture had for about half a century. Interesting film, should check it out. The next one's an English language film by Diane Caris, who was a French director. It's from 1987, stars Greta Scacchi and Peter Coyote, and it also has Jamie Lee Curtis in it as well, and Claudia Cardinale playing the mother of Greta Scacchi's character. It's about an actress played by Greta Scacchi who is considering becoming a writer and ditching her career as an actress. She gets a job in Italy to play the love interest of an obscure real-life Italian writer who is being played by an American actor, Peter Coyote. Coyote's character and Greta Scacchi's character start a relationship while they're on set, even though he's married, and she goes through this journey of working out what she wants to do with her life and dealing with the fact that she's having an affair with a married man as a part of one of those affairs that actors and actresses have while making a movie. Really interesting film, beautifully shot, lusciously shot in Italy. And it's a film called A Man in Love, which is more drama than kind of romantic drama. Even though it does say A Man in Love, the main focus is the female character, which is where it should be. It's a really interesting portrait of somebody in a transition in their career, moving from being an actress to being a writer, and the path she takes to make that decision. And I like that kind of film. I like seeing women directors doing movies about women, because it as a guy, it gives me insights into parts of the viewpoint of women that I don't ordinarily have access to. There's the inside cover, and I kind of like that one better than I like this one in so many ways. This one makes it look like 9.5 weeks, but this one really gives us a bit more of a perspective on it. There's an audio commentary by film critic Alexandra Helen Nicholas from 2024. She is really good with the commentaries. Totally on board with the subject. Fantastic film academic. And she lives in Melbourne here, I think. But Alexandra Helen Nicholas, definitely want to watch the commentary track on that. Take the disc out so you can see that. There's some of the artwork. There's the disc itself. Again, it's a kind of obscurity and a bit of a hidden gem movie, not one that leaps to mind when people think of the cinema of 1987. But again, this is what Imprint does well. They find things that are interesting, but which aren't in the front of mind when people think about movies of this time. Going to really enjoy watching that one. Haven't seen it yet, but I want to, because again, I'm going to do that palette cleanse. Instead of watching trashy genre films, I want to do some serious films to watch for a while and just get my head clear, and also learn more about these particular movies in this kind of cinema. Got two more for you, which are oriented around children in very different ways. First one's from 2003, and is a very confronting film. It starts out at feeling like it's one kind of genre, but then it slides into another. It's a film by Gabriele Salvatore. It's called I'm Not Scared, which is about a bunch of kids who live in a southern Italian village. They're wandering around. They decide to take a little bit of an excursion to an old abandoned farmhouse, and you've got a lot of the usual interactions between kids when they do that kind of thing. If you're like me, you had a free-range childhood, you know what it's like to go and explore a haunted house, or what you think is a haunted house when you're a kid. And they start doing that, and then they find something really confronting and something really scary and something which they misinterpret when they first see it, and then that leads them on to extreme peril and some really scary and confronting things where they see who is responsible for those things. But being children, they only have very, very, very limited agency trying to get something dealt with on it. Not going to spoil it beyond that, but beautifully shot film. I'm looking forward to this one. In some ways, it feels a little bit like Stand By Me from what I can see. But again, it's an Italian film. It's not Stephen King talking about very familiar circumstances in the state of Maine. This is very different, and this, from what I understand, is extremely confronting in parts, and I'm up for that. There's the other cover art, which is kind of cool. Now, the features we have on this: 1080p high def, audio commentary by the director Gabriel Salvatores, archival interviews with him as well, Fields of Gold, an interview with the writer Niccolo Amantini from 2023, the film The Story of the Music archival documentary, and a behind-the-scenes archival featurette. Again, I didn't know about this movie before it was released by Imprint. And it's very much what would be considered here in Australia an art house film, because most foreign language films here in Australia get dumped into the category of art house, even though they're not necessarily that. It's a film from another culture, but it has that common background that a lot of us have of exploring the world around you when you're a child and the things you can see. I remember when I was a child and I was living with my grandparents in Redfern, and a lot of the houses were getting demolished to put up apartments at the time. And so there were people gambling in abandoned houses and keeping away from the coppers by gambling in abandoned houses. And we, as kids, were wandering around, and we'd come upon these four guys sitting around a table playing poker because they weren't allowed to play card games legally anywhere. So they were hiding from the cops by playing poker in an abandoned house. And they gave us some money, so we went and bought fish and chips with it. That kind of thing. That kind of childhood is part of what's in this movie. The last one sounds a little bit like Bicycle Thieves, but without the father. It's an Iranian film from 1997 called Children of Heaven, which has got a very interesting story. It's about a little kid who's very poor in Tehran, and he and his little sister both have one pair of shoes, they're new shoes, and he loses his sister's shoes at a market, and they're very nice shoes. They're very expensive for his family because these people are incredibly poor, and so he has to find a way for them both to go to school even though they only have one pair of shoes. So his sister goes to morning classes, he goes to afternoon classes, and because of this he starts doing worse academically, and it becomes a problem for him. It's got that lived-in thing about poverty, where things that might be tiny to somebody who's got spare cash become real catastrophic problems to people who don't. A flat tire on a car is nothing to most people. Yes, it's a slight inconvenience, but to somebody who doesn't have any money, it becomes a real hardcore problem to solve and deal with. And in this one, the little kid has to deal with the fact that there's one pair of Converse shoes between him and his sister, and he doesn't want his parents to know he's lost the shoes. Really interesting, and it shows that precariousness of extreme poverty and how those tiny things can become traumatic problems for people who don't have money. There's a beautiful alternative artwork on the inside of this. I love that. That is just entirely beautiful. Now, there are no extras on this one apart from a US trailer. There's the inside artwork as well. And Imprint putting up an Iranian movie as a part of their bundle, directed by Majid Majidi, is a really great thing to do. One of the things with Imprint is it shows us movies we haven't seen before. The things like about a year ago when they put out Blue Car, a very small American indie drama, which I totally love, and I didn't know about until Imprint put it out. And Imprint this month have gone for the hidden gems, not playing to the cheap seats this month. They're bringing out solid dramas, and dramas that a lot of people aren't aware of, and I'm not sure how well they will sell. I think they should, but I'm not sure how well they'll sell compared to more familiar movies. But this month, around in February, well, I'm saying this month, but I mean February 2024, they're still available on Imprint's website. They're really going out on a limb and bringing to the attention of people who collect and enjoy the films that Imprint release a lot of films that they really wouldn't otherwise watch. It's like, hiding the vegetables in with the mashed potatoes so the kid will eat it. It's a little bit like that by getting those of us who tend to swim in the shallow pool of cinema to dive into the deep end just once and just see what they will enjoy and see what they're missing out on. And thank you a lot to Imprint for giving me those ones to review. Taking me outside my comfort zone isn't something I always instinctively do, but it's something I should do much more than I do. And these movies are taking me there. So that's it for this time around. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, the usual things, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, take a look at some of the playlists I've got. I've got a whole playlist of Imprint films. You can donate to the channel at the YouTube webpage for the channel. You can also donate by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies and get access to my monthly eclectic music Spotify playlist. Next time around, I've got some interesting stuff that hopefully will arrive in time for the midweek video. And then on the weekend, we roll into Science Fiction Saturday once more. So until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay warm if you're up north, stay cool if you're down here. Watch some good movies, watch a few bad movies as well. And I'll catch you next time.